So do you see a pile of junk, or do you see like little treasures that we can put together? I had a lot of fun doing assemblies for Christmas decor, and so when I was reorganizing, cleaning my stash, I had some that I had kind of started in my mind. So before I do a lot of winter cleaning, I'm going to go ahead and put some of these together. So not that the tray's going with it, but I have all this little stuff that I got from an estate sale that the person was a watch repair guy. And so I was just picking up bits and pieces because I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's so cool. You know, like I kept saying to myself how cool it all was. So I love this picture frame that I have. This has that old-timey look, and I was trying to see if I could marry it to to a box, because I just thought that would be so cool. I need to see if I can get this flat. I kind of just melted it, but now it lays flat, flatter than it was doing earlier. So yeah, that's what I needed it to do. The things we do. So that was just a multi-tool, but now, yeah, so now it's flat on there. I'm going to use some quick and thick tight bond glue to marry the two pieces together. And then I need this side that has a little bit of it taken to go into this area, this side. Okay, now we'll just let it. So I let this dry overnight to make sure that it was good on there. So now we have a framed box, which is so super cute. And then I know it kind of sits back, but we can rise it up. I love the idea of this tipping back, but it might be tipping back too far. So I'm just going to add these little, they would be like plugs you would fill in holes with, just so it tips it up. So like if I tested it out like this, you know, it just sits it up a little bit more. So I'm going to use a mixture of tight bond, it won't take much, they're not very big, and then CA glue, and then I'm going to bring them all the way out into the edges there. So I do need, these are mostly dry now, but we're going to do a little bit of age on them. I think the brown will match the frame. Yes, could I have done this before I did it? Sure I could have, but I was in the motion of wanting to glue them on. That's how that works. Now for this one, I do think that I'm going to glue stuff in, but I need to kind of like take a look at what I have. So this all has to do with watches. So I might have to lay it down at first, but just show you, I'll kind of try to tip it. I love these watch faces. And so then we have these that are just pocket watches, and then we have this that is a whole bunch of mechanisms, and I'm not going to open that up. I mean, this was just all falling right into place. This is just a box. It says full stones. I don't know. So I just kind of have to layer it up. This is much, 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 much too big. So that didn't make the cut. That's how that works. You know, you just kind of have to go with what will fit into it. And nobody said that you can't have stuff coming out. Your assembly, we do it the way we want to do it. So yes, I just want to play and figure out what colors. I have all these little dial washer, and I'm not going to take anything out. I just love the whole history and the story of it all, and so I have to wait for my hot glue to get hot. But I do think I'm going to have like this up on the side so you can see all those mechanisms. But I just need to figure out, like, look at this. This is a whole bunch of pins. So see how cool, how you're just gathering from this estate sale. So I love the thought of these. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to just glue these in place. I love that this has the writing on it. But already love that. I did have this square box, but it got nothing on it. It's just a box. So I think I am definitely going to use that one. Any decisions, and they're hard decisions and here, but I know I want that in here for sure. And I want a watch in there. And I want just multiples of all the yummies that I can possibly get in here. So I have a plan. That's gonna go right where I saw it. So then I know I have to glue this together so that it doesn't open up. It's like dry fitting to test where everything will fit. We are doing, this is a shadow box for sure. So we have that one. Oh, it's funny. I think these are the exact, well, not exact same face, but the same face. But I think I like the muted because of the muted here. But before I glue that in place, I went and got my little stash of when I bought a whole bunch of these boxes at that sale. And then I don't necessarily have to use that part, as I could use, because these are, the way that it works is so cool. So I was trying to see if I had any that were a little bit more muted, a little bit more smaller. Like these are little woman's bands. You know, I love those mechanisms. They're so cool. So yeah, we could just have fun. I just love that. You know, when you put it right up next to something and you're automatically like, yeah, I love it. Glue it on there. Especially when it's something you've got to glue. And I think I'm just going to get this glued on because I haven't moved it. Now getting it in there is the tricky part. The sweet little mouse that I think I am going to hickory dickory dock, the mouse run down the clock, right? So I think he is definitely going to sit right on top of that. I think he's super sweet, but I want a little bit more here. I want a little bit on here. To see what I can fill in. I didn't glue. I'm just going to take some DIYs, Dark and Decrepit. And then it should probably just stick right onto that hot glue. So just so any hot glue that's showing is not going to be like all like shiny. You know how hot glue will be like that. So I'll just darken up the floor of this. So this is an interesting one. It's a clock. It's new purchase good, meaning it's newer, but it was a clock. So I think it should have a little retro vibe going on there, but we need to get rid of the fakey that it's got going on. It's got a lot of like fake distressing, you know, it's just MDF board, but I think we can do it a little bit better and make a cool scene in the inside. So personally, I have no desire to make it into a clock again. None whatsoever. You can see that it's had its difficulties since somebody looks like they've had to add multiple screws to it. I tried really hard to keep that back on. That's all I have to say. So we got that much apart. It's got a little insert. I think I can take the antenna off. Awesome. So, oh, there we go. Just whatever you use to take stickers off is what you can use. This is just what I like the smell of it. I like the use of it. I'm going to go over where those little felt pads were also. That's a good old sticker. They wanted you to know something on the bottom of this, didn't they? Wipe down with some Dawn dish soap, some hot water. I got to be careful not to soak the wood too much because MDF board will swell. So I'm not going to worry about sanding it or anything that's going to expose that MDF board, but I am going to seal it in with a couple coats of shellac to help my paint stick on there. So I love this little hack where you take rub and buff, and I'm going to go ahead and repaint these because they kind of tried to antique them. So as easy as that to make them that silver they usually are. And I was so surprised at how well this works. Isn't it? They're all painted up, but just like paint, you do have to let rub and buff dry or it's going to get all over your hands. Okay, now that my shellac is dry, I'm going to go ahead and spray it with just some black enamel. I'm not going to try to change the color only because most colors will show all this imperfection of the fakie that the manufacturer did. So I'm just going to cover it up with black. On the clock TV, I've got it all painted. It's all sealed in. Now I'm trying to decide on this, but I know that I need to get this part off. As I said, I'm not going to make it as a working clock. I'm not going to mess around with that kind of stuff, but I need to get this. There we go. Save those if I ever need another project. And then take the there we go. I said I didn't want this part. I know, don't yell at me because I'm not using it. But what I just want the little, I definitely want to focus in on the eyes, the cute little nose. So we're just going to really like focus in on that part. But I'm going to have to back this with some copier paper so you don't see those letters. I'm going to use white. I'm going to go ahead and use this because this is what I have out here right now. Don't want to. As I said, we're not going to see the back. I just want to make sure that is staying down. I don't know. I didn't think I was going to need this off, but I'm going to see if I can because I like to lay a little bit flatter. that worked, didn't it? The things we do, right? And I got that a little bit dirty, but that's not going to matter either. So I'm going to go ahead with some Decoupage Transfer Gel by Fusion. Oh, that's better. I should have took that off earlier. Okay, there we go. Just using the brayer to kind of make sure that it's adhered down. So cool. Okay, I'm going to flip that over. I'm going to take an X-Acto knife. I know it's still probably kind of wet, but I don't have to go right up against it. There. So I wanted to make sure that I was getting the excess off. So the easiest way to cut this close is just some sandpaper. That's why I just needed to get the excess off. So now I'm just going to go ahead and set this in the TV. I know it kind of, you're all trying to imagine my vision. I know. I'm going to use this framing tool to put it in here. That's got that nice and tight now. Here's my vision. So I have that whimsical fox, and then when I was going through my Christmas and I was doing all the Christmas, I ran across this little ginger girl, which is probably along the pixie line. I found her online. She was like worth $22. But I thought, oh my gosh, I want to do an assembly with her that is not for Christmas. That's just woodland and whimsical and just kind of magical. She is so stinking cute, but I could have done something groovy and like disco lights or something, but I was going more for that whimsical. And when I was going through my decoupage paper, I just loved that fox. And then plastic mushrooms, nothing says whimsical forest, like plastic mushrooms, and then this little bottle brush tree that matches. Yes, we can use these all year long. My goal is to look like this is like, you know, an aged TV, the old tube TVs that was left out in the forest, and she made a little home and her little scene in it. But I've got it too clean looking. The black is just way too clean. So we're going to go ahead and use some decrepit dust and some Fusion clear wax. And I'm just going to give this a little bit of age, not like the fakey age that it had previously. Hopefully just a little bit of a rusty, crusty, dirty look to go on there. So if you've used decrepit dust, you know a little bit goes a long way. So a little bit of like a clear coat, which I'm using wax to do this. That way, because I have a whole area, I want to do the whole thing. Bits and pieces are going to be darker, some are going to be lighter, but a fan brush seems to just kind of brush it on here and there. And I can get it heavier by adding more wax. Just have fun with it. So, but since I'm adding the plasticky mushrooms, they already have the, you know, they look like plastic. They look very fake. But I don't know if these were for a planter or what they used to use these for, but they're so fun. But I am going to add some decrepit dust to this also, just to really tie in with what I did to the TV surround itself. And I want to seal this all in, make sure that it stays. So I'm just going to use some polyacrylic in the matte sheen to seal this in. The wax will, you know, grab it and hold on to it and cure, but just so none of it comes off, I just want to make sure that it's sealed in. I want to rusty crusty the antenna too, but it's a little bit smoother, so I'm going to go ahead and spray it with some of the top coat and then just sprinkle some of this onto a plate so I don't waste. And then I'm like, yeah, it would be nice to have a variance in colors. So So I'll set that off to the side. As you see, cinnamon's a little bit more like the rust color. So we'll just add some of that. So now I can very carefully, very carefully, very carefully. There you go. I need something to set it down so it will dry. So as I said, we're going to be covering the back up. So I just have some brown construction paper, contractor's paper. I'm going to put this just like a picture, like a frame or anything like that. This is a frame, shadow box. A little bit of sandpaper just to round off that very pronounced cut mark. You cut it off and then get any of that hot glue that might have squished out. Pretty cool, just as is, but we're still looking. We're looking for that whimsical. We're still looking for that whimsical. So this is going to go in here, bottom and the back there. I do want to add the little tree for that foresty whimsical. So base off, you know me, I'm always taking the base off these. Okay. So unfortunately she's got to go like off to the side because I don't want her to cover up his eyes. Okay. Okay, so I know I want to take off her little, it's always so funny that these hung somehow. I couldn't pull it out, I tried. I'll try again now, maybe that I'm closer with some needle nose. Nope. It's in her brain. So I tried to comb her hair out. I put a little softener in there. So I'm going to just try to glue just her back. And then we're going to add the little tree because I didn't want to cover up the eyeballs of the fox. These old cheese boxes, pantry boxes, make great shadow boxes and definitely have some nice interest to them because they have the beautiful nails. Some part of its life it was painted brown, so I can't really tell you how old it is, but I like to put a piece of pallet wood going with the slats in the back to make a shop. My husband, Chris, my partner in crime, works at a pallet shop, so we always have pallet wood on hand. Not that he gets it for free, but that, I use it in a lot of projects. So what I'm looking for is something that is not all the way out, but close to what the size of this is. And then I'll just go ahead, figure out what pieces I want because there's nails and stuff in this, y'all. So, and then this is kind of like got a bad side, but I want to put it down as far as I can, but enough that I can put some beautiful decor on it. And this one isn't as pretty. That's okay. We can sand it, we can stain it, since this one is a painted box, which is probably what we're going to do. Well, I know that I want to cut that off. And then I know that I want it to be down pretty far. And the nice thing about it is you just cut it to size, and then you kind of just squiggle it in there, that it's just floating. You don't necessarily have to nail it in or anything and make it permanent. So I don't use a lot of cutting tools, but I will use the band saw. Down. Look at how nice that makes a shelf. So I'm not going to worry about getting it in there too tight right now. See how it fits now? Oh, so much better. Beveled some edges. It's not going to be like, you know, like this tight fit, but it won't go down any further once you get. But of course the color, not so good with this. I haven't used in a while. Antiquing Wax by Waverly, but this makes a great stain on palette wood, and I think the color will match because we need it to be darker. Oh yeah, that's what I needed. I kind of think this brown paint has a purple hue, so while I have the Waverly Wax out, I'm just going to go ahead and coat it, and plus there was a little gap that you could see. I'm going to marry the two pieces together. I want them to semi-match a little bit better. I need to drill some holes to be able to hang this up. I'm going to drill holes through it, put some wire on it. I'm going to go with, I decided I'm going to go with this. The way the slats are, I'm just going to put a little, what is that? A little ruler in there. I have it rose up a little bit. And then I'm just going to go ahead and make a mark. So now I have my holes all the way through, but I lined it up with the slats, so that's what I was going to have some of this black wire because you don't want to notice. Of course, if I put chrome, silver wire in there, you'd notice it. So that's not what we don't want to notice it. And we're going to poke it through. Just nice and tight there. And then I'm going to clip off a little bit of the extra. And I'm going to take some needle nose pliers, and then I'm just going to twist it. And that should be enough to hold this wire with whatever we decide to hang in here on that shelf. And then if need be, I can touch up where the fresh cuts are. Just disappear. Like this was always this way, and it was made this way. That's what we're going for. And you might as well do the back, because it really only takes seconds. So now we have it up on the wall. It's hanging, so I can see how I want to style it. This is such a fun way, like, even though this one was painted, you know, to use cheese boxes, to hang them up, because it just gives you that one-of-a-kind decor piece. And then sometimes the round doesn't give you so much room to put decor on. So building a shelf is awesome. A little shelf, and I know that it doesn't necessarily, it's not a matchy or anything like that. And it's just floating. It's strong enough, you know, that it's not going to fall out, and it's tight enough. You could staple it, but what if you change your mind and you want to fill it up and put it as a top and put greenery in it? You totally can do that. And I think I'm not too far off of the line, so that's awesome. So let's start filling this up. So I got this in a haul, and I was hoping that it would fit, and it really doesn't. So I'm going to play a little bit. Nobody said you had to keep it all at the top, y'all. Or you can tighten it and put it at the bottom. You know, it's okay. We'll figure this out first. If I can't get it to be where I want, I'll change it. but for right now it's gonna stay in there. And then I have an old little slate board that's definitely tall enough. So, but I like that background on there. So maybe to put it in place, I'm gonna use some of my alien tape, which I have a couple little ones that I saved from other projects that I used. And so it's not permanent, it's kind of, they call it museum putty. So I'm just gonna try to get a piece of that off. Take this back down. And nobody said it can't hang out underneath. So take the shelf off. Put a little piece of that alien tape. It's not heavy, so it's not like I need multiples of it. So I'm just gonna kind of off center it so it's to the side and it's up to the top. And the shelf will also help keep it up there. Because I love, so it probably had an old slate board in that probably broke, but I love the handwritten, very unique, very well penmanshiped alphabet that's around there. So then now we can put our chalkboard, and I'm not gluing anything in place. If I was to sell this in my booth, maybe saran wrap it, you know, cling wrap, or like use those little adhesives to glue it in place. I probably will put this up for an auction on my eBay, and that way, you know, it's interchangeable. Once you glue everything down, then it's kind of hard, like, you can't change it out if you want. And I don't know about you, but I have a habit of changing my decor seasonally so that it's back on the shelf. Okay, I just fell in love with that. The colors and the age of the doily. And then the rounded to hide some of that from underneath. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you all are doily people. I can't say that I'm always a doily person, but when the opportunity arises to be able to use it, yes. Okay, so then we're gonna get this back in here. And it's just gonna sit off to its side. I have a little red book, but I think it's too big. I don't like the size of it next because I can't flip. Like my slate board, I feel like it would be a little too heavy for alien tape. I'd have to tape it in multiples, and I just don't want to. So we'll just play a little bit, and I'll put my crayons over there, and I'll figure out something else for a book. So though with all my blocks, you'd think I'd have an ABC that coordinated in size, but I don't. So who said you have to coordinate them? But I do have some blocks that are just, you can mix them, you don't have to, but I was kind of going with the red. I know it's not Christmas. No, it's not Christmas, but you know, you just kind of go with what you feel like, and I think that is so totally cute. So far, so good. We have some more space in here. I don't want to put something so tall that way I cover up the ABCs or the slate board and somebody could write on it if they had neat handwriting. I do not have neat handwriting. Okay, so I did find I had an old inkwell, which I think goes with the brown of that. And then I have some old red dye. I didn't mean to do all red, but sometimes it's just what you envision that day. Some old flashcards. I don't know, let's see if we like them, if we don't like them. More white next to that, so this would just be like that. Not sure what a mouse has to do, but he's so cute, and he's dark, and he goes with that, and so he could be in here. He's got one ear down. He's got that really long tail. I'm not worried about putting anything in there because this is kind of covering up that area. I have this little toy school bus. Unfortunately, I think it's a little too new. Is that a problem? Kind of would like to fit it in there. I think it's kind of cute. Might want to take that off. So I do have a little piece of spindle, and I think if I'm really careful, I can cut into it with my Japanese saw, but I'm going to go clamp it down just to give it a little bit of cut so this will slide in it. So just with a whole bunch of back and forth motion, I was able to get just a little slit into that. I had to be careful because it wanted to start to split. And now I could do this. And make it a little holder, and then you get that little bit of pop of white in there. I like the school bus in there for that pop of yellow. I'm not going to try to take paint off of it. It's just cute. So I hope you enjoyed today's content. The fun of getting to create is using your imagination. Maybe it's not everybody's vibe, but if you envision it, go for it. It may be something that somebody else likes. I think schoolhouse, that schoolhouse theme is a good seller. I think it's a neutral. I think lots of people decorate with it. The clock faces the watchmaker's shadow box. Oh my gosh, that has my heart. Schoolhouse has my heart, but that ginger pixie, oh my gosh. So before I glued her on, I took a picture. I made sure that she wasn't some rare ginger that, that you've never seen. I think the last one sold for like 20 bucks on eBay. So gluing her into the little whimsical, you can peel it off that corduroy. I tried to keep it off her hair, but oh my gosh, that just has my heart. How fun. If you are a pixie lover, if you are a whimsical lover, your wilderness, you just love to have those unique pieces that make people kind of take a second and third glance and like, what the heck? Oh my gosh, how cool is that? That is one of those pieces. That was totally fun. There's so many things you probably have done with that little television MDF board. You could have made it a clock again. You could have made it a television scene. You could have done a lot of things, but that was my vision. That was my vision of discarded junk pile left out in the woods, and somebody made it their own. So thanks for watching today's video. As always, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you're new and you're checking out the channel for the first time and you liked what you saw, please hit that subscription button so you can see what else I will come up with. And we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye.